Hello, everyone. Every year, thousands of CAT aspirants say the same thing, and that is VARC is the toughest section. But here's the truth. VARC isn't really that difficult. It's just misunderstood. Hi guys, welcome back. This is Sukanya, and today we are going to break down a no-nonsense, battle-tested strategy for CAT VARC, something that is going to help you in order to structure and strategize how to study VARC in the long run. Now, these are not going to be some random tips. They are not going to be something like read more and hope for the best, but it is going to be a clear, structured strategy that you can actually follow. So, let's try to make VARC predictable. Let's make it strategic and let's make it your strongest section. So let's get started. In this particular PPT, I have tried to suffuse as many important elements as I can so that you can actually structure your VARC prep strategy according to this. Okay, so let's get started. I hope you can see this. So this is going to be a really short but sweet but very impactful 15-minute masterclass where we are going to learn the short strategy that is going to help you cover everything. Okay, so I hope you can see it. It's not simply an English test, it's actually a thinking test, and that is exactly the kind of strategy we want. Now, we have been wrong about VARC, as I've already said. We have been misunderstood. And why? Because there are so many myths that we have. First of all, VARC is about English fluency. But let me break it down for you. The reality is something else. You might have seen engineers stopping VARC consistently. Then how does this work? Right? So this is simply a myth. Then we have the next one. You need a convent school background, whereas the truth is something else. Even non-English medium students crack 99 plus percentile. Then the third myth that we have commonly, vocabulary is equivalent to high score. Again, this is more of I would say, a skill that you develop over time by interpreting, by comprehending. So vocabulary heavy students fail because they do not really follow a structure, as you can see. Okay, moving to the next important element. As I've already said, it's not an English test, it's a thinking test. So let's get started. What we are going to learn today, what is on the platter being served to you. The first thing is the biggest VARC mistake which generally people make. Now, what is the biggest VARC mistake that people make? So, as you can see, why reading for information kills your score. So you are going to, mitigate this very problem in today's session. Then we have the next one. Crack RC questions. Basically, you are going to master the main idea, inference, and tone questions, which ultimately will help you answer 50% of the paper. Then the next one is attempt strategy. What should be our attempt strategy? And today we are going to discuss an 8-minute rule, which is going to change the game plan for you. The next one is the strategy that is going to help you explode your scores, left, right, and center. And a 30-day plan where we get a daily routine that you can start implementing that will help you improve from day one itself. Okay, so let's get started. Now, let's first talk about the biggest VARC mistake. First of all, people generally do not know how to read strategically. Everybody knows how to read, but reading strategically is a different game altogether. So when you are trying to understand every single word, that means you're wasting time. When you are rereading the same paragraph multiple times, that means you're wasting time. When you're translating in your head slowly and simultaneously, again, wasting time. The next important thing is getting emotionally attached. Most of the people actually forget that the writer's opinion matters and not mine or yours. So, what you need to understand is you need to be emotionally detached with whatever you are reading. Maybe you might have some prior knowledge about this topic, but nobody really cares because the author's point of view is the only point of view that matters, right? So, what we need to understand is we are not reading a novel. We are trying to hunt for answers. I am not trying to narrate the story to a friend of mine so that he enjoys it. Okay, I'm simply trying to get as many answers in the stipulated time that I have, and that too with 100% accuracy. So The golden rule says read for structure, not information. What does that mean? That means you need to understand how the passage has been arranged. Is the first paragraph introductory? Is the second paragraph an extension? Or is it actually introducing us something controversial all of a sudden? So this is basically helps you with understanding the passage in general. So when you understand the flow and ignore the fluff, because there will be a lot of noise in the sense loads and loads of supporting details, which will try to confuse you in the long run. But the thing is, when you try to understand the flow of the passage, automatically you understand what is to be ignored and what is to be retained. Now, moving to the next important thing, the three-step structure model. What does that mean? Now, the first thing is how do I understand the flow? Because मैम आपने तो बता दिया कि फ्लो मुझे समझना है बट मुझे कैसे समझ आएगा कि क्या है फ्लो तो इस स्ट्रेटजी से हमें समझ में आएगा व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज द फ्लो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हेन आई से is the first paragraph an introductory paragraph? Is it introducing us to the topic? Okay. Is it giving us, I would say, the description of what the writer is going to talk about in the latter stages? Is it a supporting paragraph? Okay, these are the very elementary questions that you need to ask yourself. Is it introducing something? Is it supporting the introduction? Then we have counter arguing. Is there a paragraph which goes against the grain? That means goes against what the writer has been saying. And then we have the next one, conclusion. Is the last paragraph concluding something? So, are we seeing that the writer is tying up all the loose ends in the final paragraph? Now, when you ask these questions to yourself, at least you will have a general overview of the topic. Okay? And once you have established that, then we can move to the next thing, and that is tracking author's intent. Now, why is the writer writing what he is writing? ये इतना पूरी पूरी जो राम कथा है वो उसने क्यों लिखी है? Is he trying to inform me about something new? Is he trying to inform me about his opinions? Is he trying to inform me about something that I have no idea about? Okay. Then we have the next one, and that is he criticizing somebody? Okay, is he being negative? Is he being, I would say, derisive? Is he mocking somebody? These are the questions you need to ask yourself. Or is he proposing a plan? That means, for example, there's something going utterly wrong and he is trying to find out the measures which can help improve that situation. So, is he proposing a plan that is going to improve the situation? And then we have compare. So, do you see the writer comparing the past to the present or present to the future? Do you see the writer comparing a particular, topic that has been dealt with in a very different sort of way in the past, and in the present, it is being dealt with in a very, I would say, new, isolated manner. And then we have the most important thing, and that is noting the tone shifts. So there will always be words which will actually help you to understand the tone shifts. The first one is however. Be very careful about your conjunctions. Words like however, moreover, they are going to change the tack for you. When you see words like yet, when you see words like ironically, because then the situation is changing, the writer's tone is shifting. Unfortunately, that means suddenly the writer is talking about something negative, something that did not go as planned. Okay? So these are some things that we need to ask ourselves when we are reading proactively. Again, even a boring philosophy passage becomes manageable when you read for structure, when you keep in mind all of those factors. Now, check and crack RC questions by type. Now, when I talk about RC questions by type, these are the primary four pillars, main idea and title based questions. Okay, how do we tackle these questions? We tackle these questions by covering the whole passage and also what reflects the author's stance. What exactly is the writer trying to imply by writing this entire passage? Okay, you need to read the whole thing in order to understand these questions. Then, whenever you come across extreme word options, like you can see here, proves always completely, they are wrong. See, 99% of the times these options would be wrong, but then there is also that 1% chance where these questions might actually be right. And that only happens when the passage also talks about the same thing in an extreme way. Okay? So be very mindful about that. Extreme word options generally wrong, but that 1% of the time when the writer has also spoken about the same thing in extremity, then that could be right. Then we have avoid options that focus only on one paragraph. Remember, narrow in scope, limited in scope options cannot be your main idea. Main idea is basically the right kind of, I would say, matrix, which kind of, gets the ideas from all the paragraph in a balanced sort of way. Okay. Then we have the next type of questions, and that is the inferential questions. Now, formula is 80% text and 20% logic. What is the meaning of inference? Inference is something which is indirectly implied. If I am carrying an umbrella and basically going out, what is the inference that you can derive? Now you need to think about that. Okay. So 80% of the times the writer has provided us with evidences around it. Now we are supposed to put two and two together to get the equivalent four. Okay, so it's up to us to tie the loose ends and then form a coherent thought from it. Now, sounds smart but not directly supported. Again, in the options, there might be this one trap where the option sounds really, really smart, very clever. But the thing is, the evidential proof is nada, zero. No evidential proof, this cannot be my answer. Then we have the next one, adds a new dimension scope. This means the writer is trying to add something superfluous. अचानक से कुछ extra information add कर देना, which is related to the topic but is not there in the passage. That means this is your cue to eliminate it. Then specific detail questions. Now, don't overthink scan and match keywords. If you see a specific detail question where the passage is actually going to help you with the answer, all you need to do is match your keywords. Okay? Then we have, if the author said it, find it. Don't add your opinion. As I've always said, that do not get emotionally attached to a passage. It's not your passage, it's the writer's point of view that we need to keep in mind. Okay? So do not add your opinion to anything. Always go back to the text. See, most of the people are in such a rush when they are solving the paper that they do not, double check, or I would say circle back to the passage because they are too confident that their memory is going to help them. But the thing is, usually it backfires, doesn't work the way that we have planned. So it's always necessary that you circle back to the passage, find the evidence, and then move forward. Again, tone is very, very important. Again, eliminate something that is really, really extreme. For example, furious, overjoyed, these are extreme words. Then the tones which are likely to be your answers, analytical, where pros and cons are usually discussed, critical, where the writer is criticizing something that he is not happy with, skeptical, when the writer showcases his doubt about a policy, probably, or something else. So these are the tones that are likely to be your answers. Trap tones, when you see words like devastated or ecstatic, again, extreme words. So you need to be extremely cautious about that. Now, exam mode, the game changer, what does that mean? See, we get 40 minutes for VARC, and 40 minutes, if used wisely, can actually help us crack this exam. So that's why we can see here first 2 minutes should be spent to scan all the passages. The reason is pretty simple because when you see a passage that you can relate to, it will be easier to you, it will be easier for you to actually attempt it and you will be more confident. And that will set the tone for the entire paper. So when you're picking a passage, familiar topic plus short length is basically what you're looking for because this is not only going to save you time but also going to give you the accuracy that you actually dream of. Okay, then we have the 8 minute golden rule. What does that mean actually? If you cross 8 minutes and still feel confused, basically you're not really sure about the answers that you have picked, you have got two wrong, and you basically are getting negative vibes out of these questions, that means it is time for you to move on. Now, I always say in life and in examination, you need to know the exact time to move on. That is going to save you a lot of trouble. So, here also, you need to understand once you've spent a good amount of time, it's time to leave that situation. Because when you take something on your ego, it actually ends up killing your percentile. And here, there is no room for your ego. So, understand this. As you can see, the target metrics, the winner will always be focused on 12 to 14 serious attempts, 85% plus accuracy versus the gambler or the loser. 22 blind attempts, 50% accuracy, and that means no selection. Okay? So I don't want to be the gambler. I want to be the winner when I write this exam, right? Then we have the final strategy basically where percentiles explode. You see, this is the part of verbal ability, para jumbles, odd man out, para completion. These are the kind of questions where you can actually score. But the thing is, most people lose their marks here. So when I say para jumbles, it does not mean that you start arranging things randomly. It basically means you start understanding what are the pairs that are mandatory. Mandatory pairs like cause and effect relationship, like question and answer, right? Like noun and pronoun. These are some mandatory pairs. Once you have found that, it will be easy for you to eliminate options. And then you can obviously anchor the logic. Track pronouns and contrast connectors. There might be two opposite situations in different options, and two opposite situations are obviously a pair of mandatory options. Eliminate options, don't build blindly. You need to understand that if I am just randomly arranging something, it is not going to give me a coherent paragraph. And that is the strategy that we apply here. I need for it to make sense to me. Okay? So, mandatory pairs is your answer. Odd one out, you need to spot the stranger. You need to spot the infiltrator. So, here, what do? We find the sentence that breaks the theme. Out of the five sentences, there will be one infiltrator that is going to basically be will be pretending to be somebody else. Okay. कहीं ना कहीं connection आपको दिख रहा होगा but बहुत clear connection नहीं दिख रहा होगा and that is your cue to understand that this is the infiltrator. Look for tone inconsistency. For example, the whole passage was critical and suddenly there is a factual piece of information, or vice versa. Now, this is a shift in tone that we need to be careful about. Identify logical flow disruption. For example, the writer has stated the problem. Now he is discussing the, committee that has basically discussed a policy on it. Now we are starting to work upon that policy. And suddenly there is a shift in tone where we get to know about how in this country, this policy was applied and it failed miserably. Now, this is a drastic shift in tone that you need to be careful about. Summary. Summary basically means you need to understand the core message of the paragraph. When I'm writing a summary cannot be longer than the original paragraph or passage. That's simple to understand, right? It is a condensed way of giving out information. So here we see what is to be kept, core argument and central claim, and ensure it covers the why and what of the text. Now, finally, 30-day roadmap. I want you to quickly check it out for yourself. You can take a screenshot for yourself if you want. Now, this is basically the strategy that we are going to start incorporating one RC passage daily that will be done in a timed fashion, which will simulate or imitate the actual examination. 20-minute deep analysis, because when we are simply checking answers, we are not really getting something productive out of it. The mistakes you will keep on repeating if you do not analyze properly. Maintain error log. Wherever you see that I've been making the same errors repeatedly, that means you need to start working on that. So why wrong, trap type, over inference, extreme option, what did I miss? Okay, that will help you to understand that. Reading without analysis is entertainment, not preparation. So always remember the growth will actually happen once you start analyzing in an effective manner. What to read? You need to read editorials on a day-to-day basis. You need to read opinion pieces. Again, opinion pieces help you to understand the biases. And then you need to read philosophy summaries because summaries will actually help you to understand the topic in a much more rational manner. So, Moving to the final slides here. Remember this always. VARC doesn't really reward good English, it actually rewards calm thinkers. So, structure will always beat speed, accuracy will beat aggression, and strategy will beat talent. So, you need to keep these things in mind. And for that, you need to subscribe to our channel, obviously, so that you get all the notifications on a day-to-day basis. You need to practice every single day. If you falter here, you are going to falter in the examination. And you need to own the percentile. Basically, take full ownership of what you have been doing, because if you do it in a half-hearted kind of way, that is going to show, reflect in your examination as well. So finally, this is the new batch that we are launching, CAT and OMIT's advanced batch. Now, why should you enroll with us? First of all, this is the India's most personalized MBA prep platform. And why it is most personalized? Because first of all, we give you 300 plus hours and three times the coverage, two times the revision, 100 plus mocks, 400 plus topic tests. Along with that, you see IIM alumni mentorship plus weekly performance review, one-on-one basis. And we also help you prepare the complete stage 2 prep, GD, VAT, PI. And the classes are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7:20 to 8:50 p.m. And that's it from my side, guys. I hope this strategy helps you in the long run. I hope you start incorporating it. Do let me know if it works out for you in the comment section. Until the next session, we meet again. Bye bye. Happy learning, everyone. This is Sukanya signing off. Bye bye.